In February of 2021, America lost one of the iconic conservative leaders and a guy who reinvented AM radio. And of course, I'm speaking about Rush Limbaugh. And I felt at the time when I heard that news that I had actually lost a friend. I never really met Rush Limbaugh personally, never talked to him on the phone, but in the early 1990s, when we were just beginning our homeschool journey, I was a sales representative, and I traveled West Texas and eastern New Mexico in my car, did a lot of driving, and I was introduced to Rush Limbaugh in 1992. And I was one of those ditto heads. Rush Limbaugh became a friend to me because he talked on a daily basis about policy and politics, and he impacted our homeschool in a dramatic way. Let me just talk to you about 4 ways that Rush Limbaugh impacted our homeschool. Before I do that, I hope you'll like this video. I hope you'll subscribe to our network and check that iconic bell thing there so you know when we have other videos. But I'm not alone in terms of homeschoolers who came to love Rush Limbaugh. And there are several reasons that he impacted homeschooling and our particular homeschool. And one is that he presented a view of public policy, and he presented a view of politics and issues that relate to our culture from what I would call a traditional Christian or biblical worldview. He was coming to that, and that was quite a contrast for the rest of the media that the public had access to, which almost exclusively came from a secular, progressive, leftist worldview. And so if you're a conservative or a Christian and you wanted information that kind of had your worldview, there was no place to get that information. And of course, Rush Limbaugh is iconic in that he essentially used AM radio and what came to be known as the talk radio format to reinvent AM radio and to begin to offer for the vast number of conservatives in America a news outlet, political opinions, information and discussion of policy that came from our worldview. And so that was the first way that he impacted homeschooling, and our homeschool was to give us an outlet for information that we discussed with our family. And you know, some of our friends, when they talked to me about homeschooling, they said, "Tim, what did you teach in your homeschool?" And I said, "You don't understand. I was on a teacher. My position was policy and worldview and politics, and we often had that discussion at the dinner table. And Rush Limbaugh was an element of that discussion." And another way that Rush Limbaugh impacted homeschooling in our particular homeschool was that he not only gave his opinion on a topic, but he gave the facts in those public debates or discussions on 3 hours of radio every day on why his position was his position. And so for us as a homeschool community, for me as a participant in Republican Party politics or in lobbying for homeschooling or other public policy areas, Rush Limbaugh didn't just give us an opinion, he gave us the facts that supported that opinion. And very often those facts were facts that and of course this was the days before the internet and cell phones and Google search. And so Rush Limbaugh was the one who not just gave us an opinion, but he gave us the facts supporting that opinion, which really in many areas made us a political force because we had the arguments to back up that. So Rush Limbaugh was a great purveyor of facts and information. Obviously, he was an entertainer. He was fun to listen to. Another way that Rush Limbaugh impacted the homeschool community was that he had a very clear view of American history from what used to be called American exceptionalism viewpoint. And for decades, and maybe centuries, American history was taught, at least in America, from that perspective that America has a special place. People flock here from all over the world. They want to be Americans. Americans are not just Americans because we were born here. We're Americans because we hold that view, that traditional view that America is exceptional and God is using America. And he was unapologetic. He was all about making America great before Donald Trump. And the interesting thing is that he wrote a series of children's books written about American history from that American exceptionalism perspective, and he called Rush Revere. And they were extremely popular, sold thousands of them. And so that was a viewpoint that very many, if not the vast majority of homeschoolers supported, the view of America as an exceptional place and a country that God has used to greatly impact the world. And finally, the last way that Rush impacted our homeschool, and all of homeschoolers for that matter, is he loved homeschoolers. And he was a proponent of homeschooling. And of course, you have to understand that in the 80s and 90s, homeschooling was still seen as this weird thing, and the issue for most experts was that homeschooling is not acceptable. Parents, quote unquote, are not qualified to teach their own kids. And of course, the evidence now supports the view that parents can teach their kids, that homeschoolers do very well. And Rush Limbaugh's program was not uncommon to hear a homeschool child or teen calling in, and Rush loved those. They had great discussions. Rush saw homeschoolers as exceptional. He saw homeschooling as something that was exceptional and that really was going to benefit our country, and that greatly benefited the children who had the opportunity to be homeschooled. So I never met Rush Limbaugh personally. I never talked to him on the phone, but he was a friend, and he was a great friend to homeschoolers. So I hope you'll click on the links below for more information, links to other sites. I hope you'll subscribe to our site and share this video. And I thank you for helping us keep Texas families free. And Rush Limbaugh, rest in peace.